Hello guys, welcome to episode 47 of this playlist on creating the web API and consuming it with MVC in ASP.NET Core 3.1. I shall walk you through creating the update order view. These episodes and the code base are built in continuation from the previous ones, hence I strongly suggest you to go through them before coming to this one. I also request you to subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and like-minded, and let's see what is the learning outcome for today. By the end of this lecture, we shall be able to create an update order view to render a specified order and update the order details back to the database. Save it back to the database and integrate the server side validation in the process of writing the update order view to validate the form inputs for the update view, and we will run the application after that. So let's flip over to Visual Studio now. So I've got the order controller in front of me, and right click and add view, razor view empty add, and call this update order. And then, like we have done, we are going to get rid of the default code and paste our own code taken into the clipboard. Okay, so this is the code. Now this is the model is order at the top, and then the layout is as usual, in just like in all the views without any exception. The layout file is pointing to this views shared layout file, and then the view back.title, update an order, and this is another link to go back to the action method, index action method for the this order controller page, and with form method. Then the form starts forming over there with the method of post, and it invokes the update order action method. And this is a validation summary I have introduced, just like we have done it in add customer, okay, or like add order also. So we have like we have done it for update customer, we also have the ASP validation summary for summarizing all the validation errors at one place nicely. And this will have another form group, one form group each for each of these divisions, each of these divs. And we have got the label and the input class. Input is ASP for, this is tag helper. These are all tag helpers, and basically these are the tag helpers we are interested in for span ASP validation for. These are the span tags to write the error message if there is a error. So it has got a class text danger, which writes it in dark red for a warning. And then there is a button type, submit button. Again, when you click on the update order button, it will submit to the server, it will post the form and invoke the action method update order. Okay, now these are the tag helpers as I just told. So ASP4 is the tag helper for pointing to the element, corresponding element ID, and this is ASP for ID for the input, and similarly ASP for the customer ID and ASP for the customer ID for label as well as the input. And now then, these tag helpers enable server-side code to participate in the creating and rendering HTML elements in the Razor files. And tag helpers are authored in C# and they target HTML elements based on element name, attribute or parent tag. And if you take any specific form group, here this ASP for ASP dash attributes has a value of, say, description. But description here, although it is within double quotes, it's not a string. In this context, this description is the C# model expression property for the this order model, okay, descriptions, and similarly the order cost. And finally, if viewBag.result equals success, which comes from this dynamically created viewBag here, if you get the response back from the put async method to the web API URL, and if it is able to read an API response as an asynchronous string, then we put a viewBag.result as success. Okay, so here this success is trapped. So if viewBag.result equals success, that means when it comes to this point only, this will write viewBag.result equals success, and in that case that means it is not null, and it will form the table with table heading and table row with table header, customer ID, description, order cost, all the properties of the order class, order model, and it will form the T body or table body with one table row having table columns, which evaluates the model, customer ID, description, and other properties. And then the table ends, and that's about it. So now let's click on start to start the application, and we'll see the validation in action. So both the applications are now running. They have come up and rendered on the browser, and click here and go to the order page. Let me try to update this order. So let's write, instead of test, let's just try to write test and update the order. So it has updated successfully, test, and if you go back to the order page, it has come up with test. Okay, so I'm able to update, and if you click on add order, click on a customer ID, say back, see a customer ID is 3061, and then you don't fill the other two forms, other two fields, description and order amount, and then click on add order. So this validation summary comes up with, please put some description, please put the order cost as a decimal for this order. Okay, so if you bring up this F12 developer tools, you see that network tab is empty. So even though you have clicked the submit button, which has got a submit action, this add order, there is no round trip to the server. So it has been trapped at the client side itself. And if you write, this is a test, you give some order amount, click on add order, then this is transmitted nicely across the network through HTTP request, and you got a status response through 200, response okay. So we have got this client side validation as well as server side validation working. Both the client side as well as the server side use the validation attributes in the model as well as this tag helpers together, and this client side validation requires jQuery unobtrusive, which we have introduced earlier in my client validation lecture on customer controller. So in this lecture we have created an update order view, and we have demonstrated the application in running condition with client side and server side validations.